Hello my friends, today I want to make another video about my mushroom growing box, and yeah, I gotta say I am really happy with this box. Now the box alone cost me like, I think it was 15 euros or maybe it was 13 euros, so it was really cheap. And then I added an extra seal into the rim so that the box seals correctly. And right now inside of the box I have my reishi mushroom and some pink oyster, and this here is Pio-Pino, so I will try to grow it up here in the office because I had the Pio-Pino down in the basement and it was just not pinning, so now I tried the warmer temperature, and here it's really warm, so in the office it's like 25 degrees Celsius. And before the Pio-Pino I had a yellow oyster inside of the box, and this is what I've harvested. Actually, this is half of what I harvested, and we already ate the other half. So the yellow oyster, the pink oyster, and the reishi, they love warm temperatures. The only thing is that reishi needs a long time to grow, so it takes like 2 or 3 months until you can harvest the reishi. Then what I've added to the box is a hygrometer. So here you can see right now we have about 84% of humidity. Alright, and for ventilation I have drilled 4 big holes, which I've covered with foam. And this foam lets a little bit more air through. So before that I have used a FFP2 mask, but the FFP2 mask was holding back too much air. So now I'm using this filter, which was basically just packing material in a package that I got. And yeah, it's letting through more air, but still it's dense enough that the spores will be held back. And this box is now standing in my office because of the temperature. In my office it's quite warm, and some people react irritated when it comes to spores and breathing in spores. So you want to make sure that you have some kind of filter that is filtering out most of the spores. Now here at the back you can see a small fan. This one is really small, it runs with USB. I think it's 4 by 4 centimeters, but that's enough to bring in fresh air into the box. And the thing is that mushrooms, they need fresh air, otherwise they will develop a deformed fruiting body. And especially oyster mushrooms are susceptible to high, content of CO2. So if you are growing oysters, make sure that you always have some kind of ventilation. Okay, and then here you can see my humidifier. It's by Inkbird, and yeah, I'm really happy with this one. It has a high quality, but you have to be careful that you really set this up correctly, otherwise there will be no water running into the bottom part. So be careful with these devices and make sure that you exchange the water every week or so at least. Then what I have here is a control unit for humidity, and this device has a probe which I have hung inside of the box, and yeah, it constantly keeps the humidity between 85 or 84 and 90% of humidity. And this way you will have a really nice growing kit. So if you are growing small amounts of mushrooms, this will be sufficient. And now the cost of this setup is like 60 euros for the humidity controller, 40 euros for the fogger, 15 bucks for the box, 5 bucks for the fan, about 10 bucks for the hygrometer, and that's pretty much it. So it's really cheap to make a box like this and to set it up. Yeah, awesome. Then here at the side you can see some agar plates. This is king oyster, Pio-Pino, shiitake, yellow oyster, and nameko. And I keep them here until they are fully grown, and then I will store them at a cooler place. But right now when they are growing, they love the warmer temperature. Yeah, then I have a second thermometer here. It's not really necessary because I have one here too, But every now and then it's great to check if the thermometer is still working. So it's always good if you have a second one. Okay, so this is the mushroom growing box, and I think it's really awesome. And now we will go down in the basement, and there I will show you my new growing tent. Okay, now we are in the basement, and as you can see, I have stepped up my game of mushroom growing quite a bit. Yeah, so here I have the same humidity controller, which is really important, so get one. And here I have more agar plates, and these are already almost grown out, so I have taken it to the basement so that they don't grow as fast anymore. So here we have lion's mane, blue oyster, pink oyster, reishi, enoki, and so on. Let's take a look inside of the growing tent. Okay, this is it. So in here I got my CO2 measuring device. Right now we have 410 or 400 ppm, which is the normal amount of CO2 in the atmosphere right now. So it's like 420 or so. Then I have installed a very cheap light because some of these mushrooms, they are sensible to light and they need light to grow. Then here, this is my temperature measuring thermometer, and here you can see that I have a special thermometer which is measuring the minimum and maximum temperature. So the minimum temperature in here is like 16 degrees, and the maximum, so right now, is like almost 19 degrees, and that's perfect for growing a lot of mushrooms. Okay, then here I have a second hygrometer. Then the mushrooms that I have in here are, first of all, the king oyster, which is beautiful. Then we have the lion's mane. This is the yellow oyster that I showed you upstairs. So this one I have harvested today. Then here, this is Nameko. Here we got some blue oyster, and we are waiting for the second flush. So as you can see, I have much more room for additional substrate blocks, and I'm just waiting eagerly for my autoclave to come. So I already ordered it, but it's not here yet. And then down here I have a special fogger which is normally used for ponds, and I just put it into a bucket and into another bucket to make sure that if the first bucket leaks, that I don't have water inside of this tent flowing around. So yeah, this works great, and this fogger costs around 100 euros. So it's a great fogger, but if you want to save money, you can get by with the fogger that I showed you upstairs. Now I have a fan in here, and the fan direction is really important, so I always have to aim it at the bucket, because otherwise the fog will stay in the bucket, and with this fan it will press out the fog, and then it flows around in the growing tent. Okay, so the cost of this growing tent was like 60 or 65 euros. The shelf cost me another 50 bucks or 45 bucks. So a setup like this is not very expensive, and the great thing is that you can grow very expensive mushrooms in your quite inexpensive setup. And also, if you're growing a lot of them, you can sell them to your neighbors and earn back the money that you spent for this growing tent. Okay, so now let's put away the fan. And now you can see that the fog will just stay inside of the bucket, and that's not what I need. So we're going to aim the fan, the wind, at the bucket. And now it comes out. That's important. Yeah, awesome. Now the king oyster is doing really good, and I'm going to harvest this one tomorrow. I think this is a pretty awesome hobby. I like growing mushrooms. It's like gardening, only that you need a smaller space. You need a little bit of more elaborate equipment, but that's okay. So for example, up here I have made myself a small laboratory with a HEPA filter, and at the back of this filter I have installed a fan which presses the sterile air against me. So this is how I'm doing my mushroom work. So with a couple of $100 of investment you can get yourself awesome mushrooms, and you can even grow mushrooms that are not available in the grocery store. Okay, so this is it for today. I really want to thank you for watching, guys, and stay tuned till next time.